Hey guys, this is a segment from the Slumpbuster Podcast. You can find the full episode on any of the various podcast platforms, or of course, subscribe to us on YouTube for more of our content. Other than that, guys, sit down, bust a slump, and enjoy.
Revenge Tour 2020 is a go, and I know I speak for all the Niner faithful when I say that the 2020 season could not come fast enough. Yes, it was nice finishing 13-3 last year. Yes, it was nice getting to the Super Bowl. And yes, it was nice winning one of the best divisions in all of football. But yet the way everything ended back in February in Miami still leaves a sour taste in my mouth. But now it's revenge time. Now it's another opportunity for this team to show that they have one of the most talented teams in all of football on both sides of the ball. And to speak on that 2020 season that's coming up, I think it's still going to be a lot of the same scenarios as last year. It's going to depend heavily on that defense, and that defense is going to depend heavily on how well they could get to the quarterback. And I know this defensive line, again, is going to have success this year doing just that. They're going to be disruptive. They're going to get to the quarterback quick. And I think it's going to be a little bit more explosiveness, especially with Nick Bosa another year in the league. I think you're just going to see the sack numbers go up. You're going to see a lot of more disruption in the opposing offense's backfield. And I think this defensive line is just going to get better. Same with the linebacking core, which is still a little bit young, but another year under that Robert Saleh system, and I think they're just going to benefit from that. And again, with the secondary, Richard Sherman is the communicator back there, and he has another year with Jimmy Ward, with Kwaski Tart, with Emmanuel Mosley, and Akello Witherspoon to just improve and get better as a unit. Now, the offensive side of the ball, that's where things get a little bit interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how well Jimmy Garoppolo does, especially with, it's basically going to be a second full year, especially starting with Kyle Shanahan. It'll be interesting to see what new wrinkles Kyle Shanahan adds to this offense, especially on that wide receiver position, because there's still a lot of question marks when it comes to that position. But it's going to be interesting to see some training camp battles to see who actually gets into the squad and to see who's going to get a lot of that playing time and get those opportunities to make really big plays in this offense. I'm really happy to see George Kittle signed long term now. We have that. We don't have to worry about that for the next few years. So now it's just focusing on football with him, which it was always the case. I don't think this contract negotiation talks ever really derailed him from what the goal is this season, which for me, the goal is still Super Bowl or bust for me. And I think this team is going to have plenty of opportunities to get to that position. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to imitate the success that they had last year, I'm not going to lie, but it's definitely doable, and I think this team is talented enough to get back to that situation. There are a couple of key games that are, of course, going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. Of course, all the divisional games are going to be very, very crazy. They're going to be very, very fun to watch. The team has to go to New Orleans again this year. The team has to play Green Bay again, so it's going to be interesting to see how both teams really, the opposition and the Niners, to see how they react to this new look season, which of course is going to be coming with some changes, but I'm really excited. I think all the Niner faithful is excited to see this team kind of grow and develop, especially some of the younger players, another year under the system. And I think it's just going to be it's going to be better for the team. I think as an organization, the team is they've been trending forward the past couple seasons, and hopefully that leads to finally getting that 6th Super Bowl. Go Niners.
All right. Thank you, Jose. You heard it from Jose Corral. The Niners will be a threat this year. Absolutely. Revenge Tour 2020. But is that how I really believe? Do I think that this team will rise above from the ashes like the mighty Phoenix? I do have them finishing 12-4. I'm just going to be honest. I do think that this team is still at that championship level, and I do think that a lot of the pieces stuck together well. The problem is they did lose some key veterans. So I'll break down the Niners offseason. One of the big notable moves, of course, Emmanuel Sanders signing with the Saints. So they replace him with a rookie. In comes Brandon Ayuk. They do have DeForest Buckner. They trade him away to the Colts for the 13th overall selection. That ends up becoming the 14th overall selection, Javon Kinlaw. They lose Joe Staley, who will one day have a retired jersey in Levi Stadium. And then they bring in Trent Williams, all-pro from the Washington football team. Also, a big critic of Dan Snyder. So him and Kyle Shanahan get along very well in that regard. The big question with the Niners, when you do make moves like that, when you do swap out 2 veterans for 2 rookies, you have to always wonder, is this team really better for it? Do these rookies do what those other 2 pieces did? From what I'm hearing out of camp, Javon Kinlaw, not quite at that level of DeForest Buckner. Brandon Ayuk was looking good, but suffered a hamstring injury. In fact, the common thing of Niners camp so far seems to be soft tissue injuries, which you do wonder, and you do always have your concerns with. Is this a product of playing late into the year, or are these guys just injury prone? Injury prone is one of those terms thrown around a lot very loosely, but at the same time, whenever I look at the Niners track record, it's hard to dispute that aside from last year, under the Kyle Shanahan regime, they haven't had a lot of luck when it comes to injuries. Dre, what do you think of my Niners before I go any further?
No, I mean, I think, they did obviously a really good job last year. I think we can still see Garoppolo continue to develop, right? He was only 1 season removed from an ACL. Everybody gives him crap for, the final pass in the Super Bowl that, possibly could have won them the game. It wasn't completed. I don't think that was all his fault. I thought he did a great job throughout much of the game anyways. And I think he's just going to continue to develop. So now, we see him get further and further away from when he did tear that ACL. Hopefully he's still making good decisions or even better decisions. And hopefully we start to see him be a lot sharper. Like you said, you did lose some key veterans. Hopefully your rookies can pick it back up. I think the lack of the preseason is going to hurt them for sure, right? It's going to be a steeper learning curve when you're just jumping into your actual season, right? As now your games actually mean something and you don't get that chance to sort of see what the NFL pace is like before you just hop right in. But still, with all that said, I had a hard time finding losses. I know they're going to come, and I know your record's probably not going to be this good, but I had you guys going 14-2.
Hey, if they ended 14-2, I would be ecstatic. I would be jumping for joy. But I came very close to having this team even as far as 11-5. There's quite a few coin flip games that I went back and forth on. If I'm going to remember the losses I gave them exactly, I had them losing in New Orleans because that's always a tough competitive game. I had them splitting the series with the Rams, and I had them splitting the series with the Seahawks. So that's 3 losses right there. I went back and forth on the Cowboys game in Week 15, and then when it comes to mid-season, going into Foxborough, going into Gillette Stadium, when the Patriots always seem to round into form and round around Week 7. I do see those as all key games in the Niners schedule where they could potentially lose. The problem with how competitive the NFC is this year and the importance on the number 1 seed, the Niners really have to buckle down and do in order to continue this revenge tour, because there's plenty of games in there that they can see some challenges. They could get exposed. Their run defense wasn't the best last year. Jimmy Garoppolo, as you mentioned, as much as I love Jimmy, he definitely does have to cut down on the turnovers and make smarter decisions with the ball. If he does that, then he is set for a Kyle Shanahan boost. We saw this with Matt Ryan while he was in Atlanta. His second full season in the offense was his MVP season. Can Jimmy Garoppolo do that? I think so. Maybe not MVP like Matt Ryan that year. He would have to put up absurd numbers as the goalpost seems to have been moved to what the MVP standard is. But if Jimmy Garoppolo can receive votes in his second full season with Kyle, I think that would be a key. So again, I have the Niners going 12-4. You have them going 14-2. So thank you, Trey. I appreciate the love there.